Let's really quickly watch Fire Emblem Three Houses review. He highly recommended this one. I said I was going to watch it ages ago, but unfortunately I didn't. So, let's watch it. Let's watch it.
Isn't it nice when a new game comes out that you can't put down? I think the older I get, the less time I have to fully invest into a new title. But Fire Emblem Three Houses surprised me, being unable to take out the cartridge since its day of release, and knowing full well I'm going to be sinking hundreds of hours into it. Now this video was initially going to be a first impressions video, but the further and further I got into the game, the more I wanted to write a full-on review, talking about a basic history of the franchise for contextual purposes, and just having fun finding things I loved and things which I felt like I could do a little better with. I don't go heavily into the story, though I will cover it just beyond the prologue. So stop hissing at the screen, put your claws back in, major spoilers will not be shared.
Yay!
Would you like a delicious packet of whiskers to calm your nerves, puss? Before we really get into things, let's have that history lesson. And if history isn't your thing, then skip to this timecode. Fire Emblem is a tactical role-playing game, TRPG, and has been around for quite the number of years at this point. At this stage it's almost 30 years old, which is a grand milestone for any franchise, now rocking the glory days of its adulthood with many, many children. If you had to boil down what a story is like within the series, it would essentially be a sword and shield wielding men and women get into various political mishaps. There are also dragons, Pegasi, and very pretty people. It would continue on at a steady pace with a dedicated fanbase, but never really bursting into the Western mainstream. It definitely garnered some attention in the West after Marth and Ike got into Smash, but nothing could prepare people for the absolute spotlight-stealing grand entrance of Fire Emblem Awakening. This is the game which would introduce hundreds of thousands of people to the franchise. And if you were to ask somebody who wasn't that into the series to name a title, it would more than likely be Awakening. Final Fantasy did start with 7, I suppose. So after Awakening's shocking success, they would later push out Fire Emblem Fates, a game which was definitely more divisive amongst the community for a number of reasons. The first was the choice to split the game into two, essentially making it Pokemon Waifu Wars Edition. This particular aspect was only enhanced with the skinship option, which was heavily watered down in the Western release. All of these elements would have some of the fanbase clashing heads. Some loved it, and some felt like it was taking Fire Emblem in a bad direction. And I personally never played this title, but it did introduce this absolute queen, so God bless them for that. Mummy, 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 mummy. The next game to come out after Fates was a remake of the second game in the series known as Fire Emblem Gaiden, instead taking on the name Echoes Shadows of Valentia. It was a damn good game, taking the series back to its roots a bit and actually feeling difficult and challenging at times. But sadly, the game would underperform compared to its other 3DS siblings. So, Fire Emblem has been through a bit of a weird time since the 3DS, being dragged in many different directions, trying to appeal to the Awakening audience only to take a few steps back and take the franchise to a point where they felt it would appeal to new and old fans. The last approach is what Three Houses looked like it was attempting to do from all of the promotional material. This would be the big entrance onto the Nintendo Switch, so it needed to start the party off with a bang. Did it succeed? Oh my god, yeah, I guess it kinda did. It kinda did really, really well. Three Houses has almost doubled Awakening's launch sales, and that is somewhat scary. One game cannot hold all of this power. Tell me your fucking secrets. Is this warranted? To be honest with you, yeah. The game is really good, and I don't feel like paying for it at full price was a rip-off in any way, shape or form. I haven't had this much fun with a TRPG since Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Light.
I have never played a TRPG.
Now this game is still the king of all TRPGs in my opinion. It's very difficult to top it, but the fact that Three Houses can bring me unending joy with a TRPG again is a blissful experience. Before we get into the core of the game,
another game I want to play.
You to the concept of Three Houses, and the only way to do that is to go through the prologue. I really love this opening. The low frame rate that all of the pre-rendered cutscenes have may feel a little jarring at first, but I eventually got used to them, and even if it was unintentional, I felt like it gave it a certain style. This may sound like praise for the sake of praise, but I enjoy it when a game, especially something which sports an anime aesthetic, can tell us a story without too many words. Apparent superhumans who wield magical weapons can turn the wheel of fate in their favour. A dying soldier simply utters the name of the leader he's protecting, which will be important as it gives us context for later. The look of barely contained fury in the eyes of the woman, implying that she and this man have a dark history. A wordless fight to the death, leading to the most dialogue we have in this entire opening cinematic, where the woman, Seros, plunges her dagger into the man's chest, again and again, as the two armies look on in silence.
You'll die! 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 You took everything that I loved!
She takes the man's weapon and embraces it lovingly, not caring about the blood that now coats her cheek. Mwah! Beautiful, great opening, very well constructed scene. Gets you immediately into the world by giving you questions that you want answered.
Well, this is
After
a very
that, we
real
find ourselves
thing.
in a room with a girl who looks like she couldn't give half a fuck if we were there or not. The character she's languidly greeting is our protagonist named Byleth, a mercenary who works alongside their father, Geralt. You can choose your gender, which will affect potential romances and dialogue options, aka a bisexual nightmare scenario. A Byleth nightmare scenario?
Wait. I was gonna say I wouldn't mind playing a chick, because,
We're
you
then
know.
thrust into a fight against bandits,
Wait, but
who
then
seem
that's
to be
gotta
hunting
date
a small
guys.
group of students from a prestigious academy based in the Garrig Mark Monastery. The fight ensues, and whoopsie poopsie, we die. Money well spent. After taking that axe to the back, we're brought back to Sleepy Smugface, who berates us with an onslaught of, "Ah, you big Melvin. You absolute dickhead." The girl tells us that she's called Sothis, and she'll essentially be connected to us throughout our experiences. And with Sothis's help, we can reverse the flow of time, making it so we never experience that fatal blow and can expertly take our adversary down. Why she can do this is unknown to even her, as she has lost all of her memories. So it's at this stage where we're properly introduced to the main characters of three houses, outside of a protagonist. Edelgard of the Black Eagles, Dimitri of the Blue Lions, and Claude of the Golden Deer. Alongside these students, we're taken back to the monastery, and when we reach it, we're met with the Archbishop Rhea, where she's either
Of course the
studying us
Archbishop's
or the
a
sexual
chick, why
tension is
not?
causing us to go wide-eyed. Some of us more so than others. Like, Jesus, I could do lengths in those. After the introductions are complete, you're suddenly thrust into an interesting new position, that being one of the professors of the academy. Lo and behold, one of the new twists to the Fire Emblem formula has been introduced. Yes, instead of being a tactician or general leader, you are instead a professor.
NANI?!
Taking care of a specific house of students. One of three, to be precise. 3 houses.
Oh my god!
Just
The three
give me the
students we
chick.
assisted earlier are the leaders of each respective house. I went with the Golden Deer because number 1, Claude made me laugh and his voice actor is having so much fun.
But watch out, she gets angry if you treat her like a child. As for me, I do it on purpose.
And secondly, the other house leaders felt a little too serious, and all I wanted to do was have a good time with a bunch of absolute goofballs. And oh
Which
my
one did Nico
gosh,
Beach,
I have not regretted
pick?
my decision for
$5
a
says the
second.
chick.
I would lay down my life for my idiot children in a heartbeat, and I say that with ironclad certainty. Fear the deer, baby! On the topic of houses, that's one thing I was also fairly impressed by. You see, each house has a unique set of students, which brings the total number of characters in the game to a very hefty amount. There was no way we'd be able to see all of them that fleshed out, is what I originally thought to myself. Well, I'm glad to report that I am a stupid baby man, because I love the character interactions in this game, and there are so many. It's not anything new to the series. You place characters next to each other in battle, and after using an attack or healing them, you slowly raise their
Wait, he
support
picked the
levels
guy?
from C,
Why?
A, and S. The final of which is usually exclusive to romances. Once you raise a character,
Wait,
past a certain
wait,
rank, you'll
what
unlock
the
up to
fuck
all of
did
them
he
that
just say?
fleshed out, is what I originally thought to myself. Well, I'm glad to report that I am a stupid baby man, because I love the character interactions in this game, and there are so many. It's not anything new to the series. You place characters next to each other in battle, and after using an attack or healing them, you slowly raise their support levels from C, B, A, and S. The final of which is usually exclusive to romances. Once you raise a character past a certain rank, you'll unlock a cutscene of the students interacting. And I do mean virtually every student. Not just with you, but with other classmates as well. Fully voice acted.
Might run into some of those ghosts you hate so much.
The replayability aspect of this makes my mouth water. Though you can potentially get other students from other houses into your house, so long as you have specific stats at a certain rank, and if you've taken the effort to butter them up a little bit. Think Persona Social Links meets Hogwarts meets...
It's not fun to be aroused all the time. Would you want to have a raging boner 24/7?
And since you can actively run around the monastery and interact with your students, you'll occasionally be able to raise their support by simply talking to them. There are also other ways we can do this, but I'll return to that when I start talking about the monastery as a whole. My favourite way of getting to know a student or even a teacher is through the Prologues, an optional battle mode which expands on a character even more than their support rankings show you. I know for a goddamn fact I wouldn't like Seteth half as much as I do if it wasn't for his Prologue. It made me respect the man a great deal, and it was nice seeing him take a step back from his usual stick-up-ass self.
My sister.
Now, since I started my game with a golden deer, a large majority of my support experience came from these specific students. And for the most part, the characterization is very good, though I wouldn't say all of them hit the mark. My sweet boy Raphael over here is very lovable, but sadly his support cutscenes feel eerily reminiscent of Chie's treatment in Persona Q, where his fallback personality quirks are
Whoa,
eating
bro,
food
get a bigger
and
shirt,
training.
buddy.
Obviously, this isn't all there is to his character. There are plenty of cutscenes where he's explored in much more depth. But let's say that initially, the script isn't particularly generous to the poor guy. There are characters who are handled with a little more grace, such as Ignatz, the son of a wealthy merchant sent to the monastery to be a knight, but his true passion is painting. A passion which he continuously tries to deny out of the fear of disappointing his father. And then there's Marianne, voiced by Xanthi Huen, who recently guest starred on my podcast and you should totally go listen. And I won't spoil things for you all, but let's just say her arc focuses on her own self-worth. And it's heartwarming watching her gradual transformation and journey. Even characters like your boy Lorenz, will sniff your panties for free, madam, pass them over, has some redeemable moments here or there.
Looks like that guy from Tokyo Ghoul.
Slimy slug, even a mollusk can have its moments. With the sheer size of the cast, I wasn't expecting all of them to be as narratively compelling as, let's say, Kaim from Lost Odyssey, but falling back on quirks too much can be a little eye-rolling. So, considering you're a professor, how exactly does this game work? A series which usually focuses around tactical warfare, incorporating your fucking times table and trying to get a bullseye on that chatty little bastard in the corner. Well, you work your way through the game using a calendar which can allow you to do a variety of things. Exploring will grant you access to the monastery where you can look at cat, doggy, cat. I like this one because of his fat belly. There are various things you can do in order to continue raising your character support ranks. You can eat with them, sing with them, throw gifts at them to the point of making them hoarders, and shuffle through the lost items you find around the monastery till one of them hits the bingo mark. Well, considering how every single student keeps dropping their treasured possessions
Anyone getting
all over the
Kirigiri
goddamn
vibes?
campus, these don't sound like the brightest bulbs in the batch. That's where Byleth comes in. Another activity you can do in the calendar month is give your students a seminar, during which you can raise individual skills which go towards upgrading to a new class, and you can praise them like the pretty little Tamagotchi that they are. They will exhaust their single brain cell from your tutoring, which you can raise by either resting, giving them gifts, or by doing the other activities that I mentioned earlier. And how can I forget tea time? Oh, one of my favourites. This is the skinship option, but with a little more class and believability. In it, you can talk to your students and get their approval, but you know what? Why would I be fishing for compliments?
Why do I want your approval? Fuck you. You should be getting my approval.
Fucking perfect, 10 out of 10. All of this content, and I haven't even touched on the gameplay side of things. And this honestly feels like an entirely different game altogether. It's not like the two don't mix, because they do. But going from the happy-go-lucky school environment to taking your class out to smash the brains out of bandits is definitely a bit of a mood shift. Going from joking around and talking about boys, only to pummel someone into the ground so hard they turn into fine red paste. Gameplay in Free Houses won't be new to you if you've played a TRPG in the past. It's turn-based, and from a top-down perspective, you move your characters within the designated squares. The blue squares show you how far you can travel. You then select an enemy target which is in range, where you'll then watch the action unfold and can either use a standard attack which uses up a fragment of your weapon's durability, or can unleash a combat art, the effect of which varies, which uses much more of your weapon's precious life points. You can choose to skip these scenes entirely, or just slap them in fast forward, which I guarantee a large portion of you will, because we've got things to do do and the cat needs feeding again. I'd give you this delicious pouch of puss food, but this free houses battle animation is taking far too long. I can imagine leveling up in Fire Emblem giving many people bad anxiety, because the stat increases are random. Whilst I've never been sold on this, I got used to it. It also means that in some playthroughs you can have an utter powerhouse, whilst on the next playthrough someone else can be the MVP. You can also select something called a battalion, a large group of lads and ladies which essentially serve as an extra damage or healing move within battle, but can also buff your character once leveled up. Now, when I discovered this next trick, I was initially very impressed, as you can zoom into the map and can actually see your battalion surrounding your character as you take control of them and manually move them to their position. Note that I said initially, because whilst I think this is amazing in concept, being that one lame ass who wanted something similar in tactics. But sadly, I always found myself going back to the standard top-down grid format since it was so much easier to tell what was going on. Even though the grid is now in a mini-map, it still felt strange to navigate.
War is chaotic. Welcome to life.
Block made me do a double take as to whether I was actually close to the enemy or not. You're stuck with this camera as well. You can't zoom out or in, you can only switch back to the top-down mode. So I'd rather stick with what I know will get the job done easily and quickly. It's a good idea. I'm glad they tried it. Now I'd love to see them make it better in future titles. So the gameplay itself is fun. Honestly, I can't get enough of it. However, I'd never say I was particularly challenged on the normal difficulty. The difficulty modes range from normal to hard, but you can also choose casual and classic alongside these two difficulties. Casual means characters will resurrect after every battle if they fall, but on classic they will remain permanently gone.
Look at the mask of my boy.
I decided to go for normal classic, and on my next playthrough I'll be going through hard mode. Issue is, I'm having trouble choosing between classic and casual, and the reason for my indecisiveness is so. Classic has always been a scary concept, the idea of a character dying and never coming back. In previous games it really made me sweat, but in Three Houses, the chances of a character suffering from permadeath is blanketed in layers of multiple continues, courtesy of this little rascal living in our headspace, as she can allow you to reverse time with a technique called Divine Pulse, in order to change a character's fate. Sometimes going all the way back to the start of the battle if you so choose. Whilst I don't think this is an inherently bad mechanic, I do think it lessens the impact of permadeath when you can bring them back and forth like a corpse on a bungee jump. You start off with
Akatsuki
3
did it,
charges, which feels like a decent amount of continues, but you can keep adding to this number the further you get into the game. I can now reverse a character's potential demise at least 7 times in one fight. With options like this, I feel like Classic is muted somewhat, where the real selling point of said mode is being held back from you. I'm assuming this would work much better in Hard Classic, where units would die much easier, so your pulses would be spent much faster. But I suppose I'll be crossing that bridge when I come to it. Now,
I want to play this game now!
Everything I've mentioned, such as a few weak character quirks,
I hate my life!
I felt needed a little more time in the
Wait, what
oven.
the fuck am I saying?
This game has blessedly little
Life
I
is
have
awesome.
to complain about. Would I like to see a male-on-male romance with Claude? Yes. Kinda super yes.
Wait,
And I
wait,
guess
wait,
graphical
wait,
quality
wait,
isn't
wait,
exactly
wait,
what I call
wait,
next
wait,
gen.
wait. Did he just say male? Does that mean I can have female and female? Guys, serious business. This game, if I play a chick, I can still hit on chicks, right? Ladies, don't get upset with me. I'm asking a legitimate question here. Can you? Or is it going to be one of those Star Wars The Old Republic? You're a female, therefore you cannot hit on a female. Mate, what the fuck? There's limited gay options, more female options than male. And yes, you can't have female. You can't? Seriously? Well, people are saying yes and people are saying no. You know what? I'll let you guys fight amongst yourselves and then come to an answer. A few people are saying you can? Okay, that's good shit. And second question. Which house did Nico B pick? Mind you, I only know the colors. There's 2 guys and a girl. Which one did he pick? Did he pick the guy or the girl? Someone said yellow. Does that mean he picked the blonde guy? Or did he pick the girl? I'm legitimately curious. Who did he pick? Because personally, I'd pick the girl. Because I'm a guy. Like, I'm sorry. That's just how I operate. He picked the guy? Oh, then easy. Then it's a different playthrough. Hell yeah.
sometimes looks a little rough around the edges.
See, I'm getting
especially
Kirigiri
with
vibes.
certain animations and the overall rendering resolution on the character models, but I can easily brush this aside. Yeah, it would be nice if the resolution could be upped a little bit, but did it get in the way of my enjoyment? Not in the slightest. This is fine, it doesn't bother me. Three Houses deserves the success it's getting.
I want to play it!
It's giving me so many hours of entertainment, and those hours won't stop adding up. They have created a fantastic game, and if you haven't been a massive fan of Fire Emblem in the past, I would still recommend this game to you in order to give the series another shot, and maybe jump all the way back in time and play some of the older titles as well. Judging from my friends who've picked other houses, it seems like each house has an enjoyable story with its own set of lovable characters, some more dark than others, and I can't wait to start my second and third playthrough.
Wait, Black Eagles, that sounds cool.
Each individual one. I'm enjoying the game that much. If you own a Switch and this video has raised an eyebrow, I don't think you'd be disappointed if you purchase this title and put it in your collection. It's really nice when something comes along that reminds me exactly why I love this genre, and why I love RPGs in the first place.
Damn it.
And that's that. Thank you so much for
Damn
watching.
it!
Please consider subscribing and pressing the bell if you'd like to keep up to date with my work. The thumbnail clamps for this video was drawn by my good friend Sylphie. I think they managed to capture the style of Fire Emblem pretty damn well, and they are so talented at what they do. Please go check them out using the links in the description and drop them a commission. Now, if you'd like to help support me outside of subscribing and sharing the video, then you can join the merry names scrolling by on the right by pledging to my Patreon. This particular video is actually free for all patrons, since I've already charged people once this month for the Gravity Rush video, and I want to give the people who are kind enough to help support me as much respect as I can muster. Thank you all so much for your continued patronage, and I hope to see you all again in the next video.
I feel I'm gonna get murdered with the amount of games that we need to play it. Now, mind you, like, this makes me want to play it. I'm a gamer. I see a new type of video game that I've never played. I've never played strategy games in this turn-based sort of thing. I've played Warcraft 3 and those type of games, but I haven't played this style. The closest that I've played to this style would be Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 13-2. But I am one of those people that really does like controlling units. Whenever I was playing World of Warcraft, such as Raid of Battlegrounds or even Raids PvE, PvP, I was always either the raid leader or at the very least in charge of a small group. And so when you're doing PvP against other people, I absolutely loved coordinating 10, 15, 20, sometimes 40 people at a time in real time, strategizing how to win. And I had a very good ratio of winning. I was good at it. I really enjoyed it. I get my kicks from it. The reason I stopped was that I'm hyper competitive. So when I want to play, I want to win. And when I want to win, like, I want to win. So even when we were playing against the best, the second best, the third best group in Oceania, I always wanted us to win. So I had to stop because I'm too competitive. I get too into it. But if I'm playing a game that's PvE, I can enjoy it. I can get that kick without having to get too competitive. So, like, you know. No, I won't watch Has Been Hotel in this stream. Stream is just to watch some Clem stuff at the end of our game of the decade. And we still got to watch Nier Part 3. So that's a little about me back in the day, what I used to do in high school. And the funny thing is, when I was doing, like, competitive PvP and when I was doing raiding PvE, we had people around the world. We had, you know, soldiers that were stationed on aircraft carriers in Japan. We had, you know, businessmen and women in America. At one point, we even had, you know, some minor celebrities, some models, and, you know, quite interesting people in these groups. And then you've got this kid in high school basically telling you what to do, and they would do it and shit would get done. So I guess that's where I got my taste for that. But we do have a Switch. Thankfully, that was a gift from all the sponsors and all the donators, because they really did want us to play Super Smash Brothers, which we will do. We will definitely do. But it does also open up the floodgates to a lot of other options. But as we mentioned before, we first have to finish the games that we have started playing, which are Nier, which are Resident Evil, which are Ace Attorney. And then we've got a lot of new titles coming out next year. We've got Cyberpunk, we've got Final Fantasy, we've got The Last of Us 2. there's more than that. There's Hellblade 2, and all these games are basically coming out. So hold your horses. There's a lot of good games that we want to play, and a lot of other franchises which we haven't finished. And being a part-time streamer makes it very difficult because more games come out than we can play. And that being said, I am going to take 1 or 2 days unpaid leave from work to play the new releases when they do come out, because there's no other way to play them. If we just do 2 streams a week, there's no chance in hell we're gonna finish 6, 7, 8, 9 games a year. It's not gonna happen. So, you know, I'm gonna take 1 or 2 days unpaid leave from work to do live streams, so we'll have like a long weekend, which is gonna be fun. Persona's gonna take a lot more than full time. Well, that's the thing. We're part-time, so yeah. The gateway option in 3 Houses is kind of funny because Nico B got upset his male couldn't romance his male house leader. See, that is the difference between me and Nico B. Nico B will get upset that he can't romance his male character with another male character. Meanwhile, I will try to see whether or not I can romance my female character with another female character. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but that is the way of the Slav. We are very, what's the word? Yeah. Okay. Nier Analysis Part 3. Let's do it. As much as I like Dimitri, as much as I would like Dimitri, it sounds like a very good game. Sorry, very good name, Dimitri, like Vlad or Vladimir or something like that. Or Ivan, or Ivan, if you want to call it. But, sorry, if you give me a choice between 2 guys and a girl, I'll take the girl. I'm sorry, it's just how I operate. Dimitri uses a spear. Of course he uses a spear. Why didn't they have a guy called Vlad that uses a spear? That'd be a lot more fitting, right? Dimitri should use a hammer, you know, like he beats you to death with a blunt implement, whereas Vladimir, you know, puts you up on a pike. They missed the golden opportunity there, but, you know, that's just me. Ivanovsky, I like it. The girl is overrated. Well, I mean, you can say that about most girls, but I still like him. Alright, let's get started. Nier Analysis Part 3. Let's just say that the culture of Fem MC and Edgard is a lot better. I have no idea what that means.
Child.
What the fuck?
Child.
What is this?
Don't listen to them, 2B.
Together forever. Together forever. Carry me.
They don't have any feelings. They're
What
just
the fuck?
imitating human speech.
What the
Let's
fuck?
take them out.